Chris and EggKnight in the morning. That's all I got. Just what you need. A review of all the stuff that launched this week. And I wasn't kidding when I said this week and next week are going to be freaking full. A lot of stuff out of nowhere. A lot of stuff getting a surprising amount of funding. Clearly, we have not bubble burst anywhere on the crowdfunding side of things, and EggKnight is a testament to that, and we will talk about it a little bit later. EggKnight, we'll get to you, and we will just go into it, because there's a lot launched, and we need to talk about a lot of stuff in a short amount of time, so get ready for ridiculous speed. Anyway, let's do this. Right into it. Patreon, click the link, help me get more people watching this. More opinions on crowdfunding. There's more than one. I know. Shocking. Anyway, let's do this. As always, Patreon, weekly content. I'm a little late this week. I'm sorry about that. But as always, if you want more info, back me there. Help me out. Help me just get to the masses further. Anyway, on with the self-promotion, and let's get to Tamashii. Chronicles of Ascend, Awaken Realms Light. And less than 24 hours in, they're doing stretch goals every other day. So if you're not in already, you haven't missed too much. And they're basically unlocking them. And if you're in the first 48 hours, again, you saw the little graphic go by here a second ago, Owlman expansion. Now, if you're watching at this point, though, be aware, a lot of campaigns all of a sudden this week have early birds. I don't know what is going on, but I'm seeing it pop up left and right, especially from a price standpoint. So just be aware, because, again, maybe that's coming back into vogue. I'm not really quite sure. But 340,000 euros on day one, less than day one, is really impressive. Now, I thought this was going to be the biggest funder of the week anyway, but clearly it's getting a lot of traction. And a lot of people are getting in early. So the question then becomes, at hour 49 through hour 528 or so at the end of this campaign, how much funding actually happens from that aspect? And that's more of the curious approach. Now, this is Awaken Realms Light, but you're not getting light on the miniatures if you want. Cyberpunk AI system. Now, again, there's a little bit of talk about what this game actually is and what it was actually going to look like. Multiple scenario-driven, storytelling-based game in multiple languages. Here you can see the miniatures that they're well known for, and then they talk a little bit about what the actual gameplay is. Hacking, changing bodies, map exploration, boss encounters, and story. Fully replayable scenarios. You don't have to play in campaign mode, which there apparently is a campaign mode. There's also competitive versus cooperative. Now, I saw someone commenting on the forum section talking about the differences between competitive and cooperative, and maybe the competitive is more of a game where it's a rush to get through things. I don't know. With a game like this, with a few videos from basically Rado and Quack and Co., what's it going to look like? Again, the cyber pledge here is with the miniatures, and the core pledge is 66 euros, which, again, is someone who doesn't want the non-gameplay content. I like the fact that they always do this, and I enjoy that. I give them props, and I will give them props for all the times that they do it. Like I said, here are the stretch goals. Every other day, you're going to be getting new stuff. Standee stuff for those of us who are standee heavy, which is awesome. New miniatures. Again, new scenarios. Again, gameplay content in there. And you can get the miniatures if you want them for an extra 40 euros. And that's fine. I have enough plastic. I have enough boxes. And my concern is that I just don't need another box. And it's going to be value-wise, it's going to be fine. And you'll make your money. You'll value-wise, if you're one of those people, you'll get it from that aspect. The core is going to be a better value. But if you get the miniatures, those will also sell eventually in the secondary market. So they talk about the different minds, player counts, if you will. So you have a 4-player count right there. And I would be shocked if they don't do the traditional Awaken Realms things where they're going to add like a 5-player expansion or a 5th-player expansion here in the near future. They talk about some of the characters in the base game, of the labels and the classes essentially that they are. And then they go throughout the world and the scenarios and the events you're going to be driving through. And it goes through all of that. Now, the problem with all of this, though, is gameplay highlights. I want to know how this actually plays. I'm not seeing the mechanisms that go in with this. Now, it talks about being a non-linear interactive narrative. That's fine, but different scenarios, different modes, high replayability. I want to see. And Rado has a video right there. Again, there's those videos, and that's it for English. And then Foster the Meeple actually has one as well, so I wasn't expecting that. And then what is this? Krabak. I don't even know who that is, but apparently, they're huge, 53,000. So, again, I see nothing on the page that tells me more about the specific mechanics. And I see nothing on the page that tells me about the rulebook. And so I'm probably going to be backing this in the first 48 hours to get the early bird. But will I actually keep the pledge? Well, no, I'm going to watch that video, probably from Rado, and I'm going to wait for the rulebook, because even in those situations, even when I watch the playthroughs of these games, you wonder how much nuance is lost and how much nuance is not actually explained. And gameplay highlights here doesn't tell me enough. It doesn't. And so I'm a little disappointed in that aspect. And I just worry that the Awakened Realms games on the light side have not had a ton of expansions. The Awakened Realms games on the Big Brother side have had very much a few expansions with every single campaign, literally probably double or triple the price. And I worry that it's going to be more of the Big Brother approach than the Little Brother approach. So we'll see, but I don't know. And let me know if you're interested in this, because this is one that I'm probably going to do a Should You Back video on in the future. So there you go. Next up, also on GameFound, we're just going to do GameFound back to back here so don't forget about them. Oak. This is a worker placement where you are a druid shepherding a tree, trying to grow the best tree, essentially. I mean, again, it's not doing gangbusters, but it's easily 150% funded in just over 24 hours at 70,000 euros almost. So that's still good from Game Brewer. And this still, even as much as we are into GameFound now, begs the question every single time, would Game Brewer be getting more money over on Kickstarter because of the sheer exposure? Now, I mean, Awakened Realms lights are going to be, and Awakened Realms are going to be the exception rather than the rule. But all of the other companies that have come over so far, except for maybe like Chip Theory Games and maybe Portal, there have been a noticeable downturn in some of these other games as well, just from sheer exposure, because people just are not having the eyes to click over there on a routine basis. And we'll talk about the sheer eyes from a backing standpoint when you have something like the Ultimate Deck Builder box or something that's out there from The Professor. We'll get to that in a little while. But again, strategic Euro game, otherworld creatures, artifacts, legendary locations, worker placement with hand management, and some unique meeples. Although these little things on the meeples are about as appealing to me as the tiny epic marketed. What do? They trademarked those little hand-holding meeple things, the little weapons and the little gear. It's about as attractive as that. And when I say that, I mean that it's not attractive at all. But I like the meeples themselves in general. So again, here you go. You can see deluxe version, 85 euros, 50 euros. If you're going to get it, you get the deluxe. I mean, there's not really a whole lot of point unless you're someone overseas. And I know retail availability then is significantly more different. So again, what is the difference though? Because we just saw it with Awakened Realms Light where they are going with just the miniatures essentially. But here you have artwork, foil finish, lamination, linen, and a print box image on the inside. And they're actually just Now, I mean, that's kind of like look at this insert. This is an exclusive insert. Come on. That's ridiculous. You're otherwise it's just going to be a box in the center. We're not even going to wrap things. We're just going to have it all loose and free form, or just dump it in there and kind of hope that it doesn't. No, I'm just kidding. But you know what I'm saying. Again, I don't need screen printed or, printed meeples. That does nothing for me. You're going to have the same shape either way. It might be a slight difference if there was actually like cubes versus meeples. But again, not a huge difference. Again, like you're just making everything better. And some of this stuff I think should be, double layered probably should be regardless. Wooden tokens. I mean, I guess people really do like wooden tokens in some scenarios. Drawstring bag with a silkscreen print. I guess that's okay. Again, just deluxified. So I'm not seeing any gameplay content here. Then they run through literally everything comparison wise. So they're literally not upgrading a few things. They're literally upgrading almost everything. Even the design. Like look at this design versus this design. So you're just gonna give better design on the deluxe. I mean, that's kind of off-putting. That is something that I'm not a huge fan of. But I have gone down this page so far, and I've seen what's in the box way up at the top here, and I know nothing about the game so far. Nothing. Add-ons for sleeves, don't care. Subscribers, what does that mean? Oh, I guess if you subscribed beforehand. Or not. No. This is a subscriber if you're subscribed to Game Brewer. 25% off your total copy. I mean, that's good if they put out a bunch of games, but I don't know if they've put out a bunch of games that I would say that overlap significantly in terms of desire. So anyway, let's talk about what it actually is doing. There are different phases, dawn till dusk. You're trying to seek the wisdom of the oak, trying to use these actions with your starting hand of cards. And it's relatively worker placement-esque basic. You play a card, you put your guy in the space that matches the card, you pay the cost to go there, rinse, and repeat to take the action. However, each of these cards also corresponds to a branch of the tree, and then you have to go there, essentially. You're upgrading these cards, and they're going to get you either more complex or cheaper actions. I mean, this is a game where I can see myself as someone who is slowly diving into the worker placement Euro side of things, maybe being interested in it, but I'm not going to be paying 100 euros to try my hand at this. Because, again, if you've heard me say this, yes, you will probably have value, but stop buying games based on value. I'll say it. No one else seems to say it. Everyone else seems so concerned about that. Buy games that you're going to love. Period. There's way too much, especially this week, to not buy a game that you love, or a game that you know that you will love. Then you're building your sanctuaries here, time, resources, victory points. You have to, be careful about the druids and not to tire them out. Getting artifacts that, again, will get you special actions. And then being able to upgrade your druids into an elder. And the different elders are going to have different asymmetric powers. So there you go. Potions throughout. Again, there's a lot of variability. Does it work, though? I don't know. And again, you can see here, John Gets Games has a video. Who's this? I don't even know who this is. Play It Right. So a couple preview videos, a couple how to play videos. Rado's got one there too. Meeple Mountain, how to play, preview video, preview video, preview video, preview video. But apparently we have nothing but preview videos. So take that for what you will. That's not terribly encouraging for me. I mean, I'm going to watch the playthrough, but it's sort of wishy-washy too. And I'm going to have a video shortly coming out soon about this. It might be out slightly before this video. It might be out next week. Just talking about the rise of preview videos and how that makes me feel, if you can guess. It's going to be a good one, though. Tune in. If you're not subscribed, you're going to want to see that one. But that is Oak. Now, next up, we're going to go in a slightly different order here. Pathways, dexterity game, almost 50% funded. And why I'm giving a shout out about this is because I think this game actually looks really cool. This is like crokinole with holes in the middle of the board. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to get your pieces across, be the first one to get your pieces across. And you're using your own pieces to fill in those holes, but the other person can use them as well. And so you have to be very careful on how you do that. The only, issue with this, obviously, then, is it's an expensive game. It's $54 plus up to $75 if you want the neoprene mat. But again, it's a bamboo board, and so you're paying for premium quality right here, and it looks like just something completely different dexterity-wise. I mean, look at that. You can see the actions of how you're going to be flicking that in the first row to score points, which is not going to be easy, and it just looks like a lot of fun. And now the question is, are you willing to pay $54 or $75 for something like this? And I think you have to be interested in it, and I think it's something that would be really easy to get to the table dexterity wise, and I don't really see a whole lot else out there like it. So if you're a big dexterity fan, again, I think you should be looking at this. 3 game variations on how you want to play, because this is also one that I don't think you're going to find out on the secondary market. So if you want this value wise, you should be getting it. Here you go. There's an extra neoprene mat so you can play on the big board, and again, just kind of cool. So I may be having a copy of this to show you guys a little bit of firsthand, so I will leave that out there in the future. And again, looks kind of like something unique. That's a lot of money, though. It's $150 Canadian. That's a lot of money for a game, but again, this is one I don't see getting wide distribution if it doesn't fund, or even if it does fund. So if you're interested, Pathways, check it out. Next up, we're going to talk about Malhya, Lands of Legends. Now, I saw this, and this is going to be a whole separate video as well, ranting about a certain group, a certain social media platform that is very entitled and very narrow-minded, and it's our way or the highway, and we're immune to criticism, but every once in a while, I'm also going to say, woe is me. But that's a whole nother video. I won't go into that tangent too much. Thank you, EggKnight, for getting me off the subject. But this is another dungeon crawler from the makers of It's a Wonderful World. And this is an interesting concept. And I look at this, and you'll see it in a second. It reminds me very much of, just on the periphery, on the surface, Chronicles of Drunagor. But I don't, again, get a good sense, because I haven't read the rulebook yet, to know how different this is than Chronicles of Drunagor. And you can start to see, okay, the dice, the aesthetic, the layout is very similar. But again, this is going to be an expensive game. This is an expensive dungeon crawl. And disclaimer, full disclaimer right now, I am reaching my saturation point with dungeon crawls. Again, I say that as someone who is full of them, but also wanting to be more discerning, because there's only so many times I'd rather spend, $120 on that dexterity game that I'm going to be able to play than another campaign game that's going to sit on my shelf and that I can't play and is never going to get finished. And so that's why I'm trying to be very selective. And the question is, what does this one bring to the table? And you can kind of see the aesthetic is a little bit similar to Chronicles, but a little bit different too. It's very clean. It's very nice. It's very pretty. The miniatures look absolutely fantastically amazing. I believe a bunch of people on the YouTube side of things had videos come out of this, and it seems like everyone had like 4 videos come out today except for me. So anyway, but again, it looks really cool. I really like these miniatures. These miniatures are freaking fantastic there. The boards, but again, like I'm seeing, again, the trend. I'm seeing all the stuff. I'm not seeing, why is this game important? Why is this game different? Why should you get this game? Let's show you the bling. That gets really old looking at page after page as well. I'll tell you that. Again, tiles, booklets, everything, blah, 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 all this stuff. You can look at this. You're hitting some stretch goals already. Backers, they're doing by backer number, it appears right now. Content, gameplay as well. Add-ons, you can get the sleeves, dice tray, dice, gameplay itself here. You finally get into this about halfway down the page. Like, why not shout this from the rooftops? Again, why not? Semi-random events generated. Factors that are going to change the type of the game, the state of the weather, the terrain you're crossing, the time of the day, even where you're at in the adventure, a smart adventure system. Well, tell me about the smart adventure system. I've made it halfway down this page. You have not even told me about the smart adventure system. Instead, you've just shown me pictures of renders of things that I'm not going to get. And that's irritating. Again, there's little videos here that go through all of the little phases. They talk about your hero. Again, like, it's nice to have a video. At the same time, a simple diagram would be, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Come on. Exploration phase. But again, like, you don't tell me which of these videos should I watch? Do I need to watch them all to even get a sense of the game? I don't like that. Stealth. So they're throwing in stealth here. Hide the corpse without being caught. Increase the awareness. And I worry that at the same time, there's just too much going on here. Combat overview, skill tests. Again, I've not been a big fan of skill tests in games lately. Not that I don't like them, but I just haven't found myself having fun with random skill tests always. It's a big hit or miss. Again, I don't know what this is going to look like. 100 hours of campaign, but is this going to be available at retail? Is it going to be up later? The rulebook is right here, so you can check it out, but this is for the demo scenario only. So all of the videos below, just like with Kingdoms Forlorn that I did, was only a demo scenario. Again, I'm going to point this out because, again, I feel like I'm the only one shouting at the rooftops about this, and maybe you guys don't care. Maybe this is what's coming of Kickstarter. Maybe it's just going to be, a year or two from now, completely devoid of actual, significant opinions. I don't know, but they call it reviews right here. This is a preview. This is a first impression, maybe a preview. I'm assuming they got a copy, so maybe there's some actual input there. But then this is a preview as well. So nothing in English necessarily, except for this one from Board Games Everybody Should, that gives you a strong impression of the actual game rather than just a Board Game Geek summary done up in a super graphical, high production way. And again, nothing against the people that are doing those, but it's hard for me as a backer. Those are not done with backers' interests. Those are done with game companies and creators' interests. And I say that as I've done like one of them or two of them, but it doesn't help me as a consumer, an average consumer, figure out whether or not that game's right for me. I need more than a glossary summary of the game and a brief overview. And so say what you want about Rado and how you feel about his videos. When he does the playthroughs, you get a good sense of the game, at least the majority of the time. And so I at least appreciate having those. Again, shipping, I haven't seen anything if this is coming to retail. I haven't seen anything that's exclusive. I have no reason to back it yet because I also don't know why it's that unique. You tell me these unique things, you tell me about your smart adventure system, but you don't give me any actual information. So again, it's raising a lot of money, and it's gonna raise a lot of money. It's a dungeon crawl. It's a miniature heavy dungeon crawl with several big channels supporting it. But is it right for you? Well, frankly speaking, I don't really know right now. I don't even know if it's right for me. I don't even know what's going on in half of it. So take that for what you will. I mean, I kind of wish that people would be a little bit more choosy, because otherwise we get more pages like this and less pages that tell us, really, really useful stuff. That's the one thing I liked about Oak and that page. Game might not be for me, but they have a good page setup, better than arguably Tamashii or Malhya here. So take that for what you will, but this Malhya. Oh, and as a side note here, I did pull up the rulebook here for the not being the full rulebook, for only being the demo rulebook for just the scenario. It's 46 pages long, and I guess that's the other side of things that I'm really being more concerned about. How many 40, 50, 60 page books of these campaign style legacy whatever scenario based games can you read? I am getting more and more selective about my games because it's getting harder and harder to read these 40 to 50 page rule books to play one demo scenario and then rinse and repeat and go on to the next one. So again, something to think about in your collection. How many of those can you have that you're going to be able to get to the table that you won't have to reread every single time you play it? And again, not a short read, not a 10-minute read before the game group starts on that evening. This is a whole afternoon relearning and relearning. Think about that for a minute. Next up, we have the Bad Karmas, the Curse of the Zodiac. Again, heavy miniature based. And this is the Tibaru system. And this is, again, they're going with a true funding goal. So I give them a lot of props. This is going to be interesting because it is a system where you basically have this electronic board underneath. You plug it in, and then you have dice and miniatures and tokens that all are going to be interacting and via the app to control them, to give them the scenario, sort of like a Destiny's-esque, only more of a dungeon crawl. And it's an expensive game, though. This is the other issue that you need to be aware of. I mean, because if you're going to have this computer-based system, this app-based system that is interactive between the board itself and the app, not just an app where you're going and plugging things into, it's going to cost you a pretty penny. And that's why I wasn't kidding when stuff was really flying around in terms of money. This isn't as much as Malhya, but I mean, they're going for Malhya level funding goals here. The core pledge is $187. Just the core pledge alone. It takes you just volume 1. If you want to get volumes 2 and 3, which I would argue, if you're going to look at this at all whatsoever, volumes 2 and 3 are only going to cost you combined $130 more. So does it really make sense not to get all of them? No, it doesn't. If you're going to go, I see no reason to get this. You're going to go big with this. And I mean, you're not going to hopefully do this. You're going to get 4 of them, but I mean, you don't need 4 of them. That's probably more of a retailer pledge, maybe. I don't know. But this is Bad Karmas. I mean, it looks beautiful. It looks really, really fantastic. But again, it sort of reminds me of those stand-up tabletop, things that they put on the tables where, you put the game elevated up and it's like, well, I don't really need the game elevated up because now all it's done is elevate and still have the same space issue anyway. So this is what it is. But you're going up against 12 demigods called the Zodiacs and you're, just trying to take them out one by one. It's a very interesting premise, and it's potentially, as Rado is saying right here, not to put the words in his mouth, but the words are in his mouth, removing some of the filliness and some of the overhead that comes with these games that I was just complaining about with Malhya, right? If you don't have to remember the 50 pages of rules in terms of some of that, it's really nice, especially when it's terrain or everything else. And so it's great from that aspect. And again, the complexity is going to be more of the issue. Smart miniatures, again, saving game progress is massive. Are you willing to pay extra to save game progress? Are you willing to pay extra to play it remotely? Are you willing to pay for AIs that actually you don't have to, wander through their AI system of, okay, they do this. Oh, nope. Then they do this. No, they then do this. No, they then do this. Are you willing to pay extra for all of that? And, with someone who is less limited by money nowadays, but more limited by time, I would be lying to you if I said that wasn't slightly appealing. It is, because I mean, it's sort of like why I prefer partially standees rather than miniatures. I don't have time to paint miniatures. And if you can give me a colorful, a beautiful acrylic standee that is going to stand out on the board with instead of a gray plastic chunk, well, you know what? I'm willing to pay even a fraction more or more than it would normally be to get that as opposed to the gray chunk. So again, just food for thought when you're looking at this and going, oh, well, that's a ton of money. Well, it's a ton of money because it's also saving you a ton of time potentially. And what's more valuable to you? Because we're all at different points in our life and you need to know that. And again, the question that this brings up, though, is it also reminds me of something like Golem Arcana. If you're old enough to remember Golem Arcana, and it's not that old, I'm just kidding, but I'm putting it in the context of Golem Arcana was supposed to be this next thing in terms of games and apps and electronics, and then it sort of fizzled out. And that would be my only concern of this is, by the time volume 2 or volume 3 come around, what's the status of this going to be? But I know that they're doing this as like a long-term thing, sort of like what Lucky Duck Games is doing now with their app-driven system. I mean, they basically created the structure of everything and using it to modify it and to apply it to all of their games in the future in some way, shape, or form, so that, the base is there and they can use it in different ways, but you're not recreating starting from ground zero on every single one. Again, volumes 2, volumes 3, I skipped over these while I was blabbing and ranting and raving, so you can see everything that's entailed with that. Again, the question is going to be, if volume 1 is just as big as volume 2 or volume 3, you're getting a great deal. If volume 1 is that much bigger, well, I mean, it is what it is at that point. It reminds me a little bit in that sense of Madara. If you were on Madara's latest campaign where you can get 1, 2, and 3, or just 2 and 3, or if you already had 1, you can just do whatever you want. Again, here you go. Platinum versus Core Pledge gives you, doesn't really have a huge difference. I mean, I'm not sure what this founder status is. It talks about this. Exclusive channel to talk to them, badge account, playtest upcoming games. Okay, and 10% off of 3 future campaigns, which includes Vampire the Masquerade and Sword and Sorcery. So, I mean, that's maybe the most enticing thing if you're really interested in one of those. But if you're not interested in this and you're really interested in one of those, well, 10% probably isn't, probably shouldn't then. Add-ons, again, Volume 2 and Volume 3, dice set, power bank, device stand, a little bit of everything in terms of accoutrement. Stretch goals here, we're going to get some localization if it funds, and kind of see what else they've got in store for us. The only thing I would worry about with a game like this, that if it doesn't fund, or if it's slow to fund, is are you better off doing stretch goals that are daily unlocks instead of real stretch goals? So again, here you go. You play, decide turn order, stances, and then activate via the app. Use your action skills, the bosses go back against you, and the combat system kind of just happens. And it goes through everything that you can kind of do. It's more video game with a board game presence. But again, how do you feel about that? Because I know this is very strongly opinionated when it comes to the use of apps on the board game side of things now. Again, color on the miniatures is going to give you some indication of what's going to be going on in the boss state. And the app is out there as well. Campaign mode, skirmish mode. Again, skirmish mode's good. I'm glad that they have both, because I would worry about having to do a campaign just by, again, sheer nature of things. Run through the characters, run through the bad guys. I'm not going to bore you with all that stuff, but it's going to be an interesting test point in terms of where it goes from here. Again, Quackle Open Board Game Co. are in this together, it looks like. Dice Tower, King of Average, everybody's out there. So, Man vs. Meeple, Tantrum House. Okay, everybody. Whole bunch of videos down here. Okay, they have plenty of stuff. So if you want to see what this looks like in action, check it out. The board system itself, the smart miniatures, the dice, the rings, everything there in terms of also the upcoming games. Vampire the Masquerade could be very interesting. Color me intrigued. I never had any interest in Sword and Sorcery, but Vampire the Masquerade has always been one of those IPs I've always kind of wondered about. Anyway, that is the Bad Karmas and the Tibaru system. Very, very interesting topic and conversation. I guarantee it will come up in the future. There you go. Now, we have a very interesting campaign again. Board Game Tables is putting out like a couple games, a couple campaigns a year. And this is the latest from, I think it was Wally Games they partnered with. And you have 3 remakes or re-theming, new editions of these 3 games. Habitats, which is I think a 2015 game, 9 Lives, which is a trick-taking game, which I'm not sure if it's exactly a remake or not, and then Basketboss, which is also a rehash remake, just a sprucing up, if you will, if nothing else. 300% funded, $60,000 right now. Again, this is always the question of these sort of campaigns is it really saving money to get all 3? Or are you just paying more for potentially 1 or 2 games that you don't like? I have liked several of their previous games. I'm a big fan of their previous one, which had a couple Japanese games, which I have coming to me. And then I got a copy of Ghosts of Christmas. And then they sent me a copy of Factory Funner, which I'll tell you, Factory Funner is probably one of the sleeper hits of the year for me right now because of how brain-burny sadistic it is. And I say that in a good way because every time I think about it, I want to play it. I did not enjoy myself when I played it. I was horrible at it in that sense, but it makes me want to go back to it, which I can't say about every game that I have played, especially from the crowdfunding aspect in the last 6 months to a year. Habitats is the most interesting one here. 9 Lives is an interesting trick-taking style game, but again, I have a hard time getting trick-taking to the table. Apparently, you know what the hand of the other people looks like or what suits they have, and so you have to somehow negotiate that. Basketboss is apparently like an auction bidding style game, I think, but Habitats is a tile-laying Carcassonne-esque game, which is getting included, and this is why it's the best value. There's an expansion, 2 expansions actually, that showed up on the retail market that were really super hard to get, and so they're including both of the expansions in this $39 right here. And so if I do not get a copy from a review outlet media side of things, I will probably be backing Habitats because I think it looks like it's something really easy to get to the table as a filler, and it looks beautiful, and I think they have these wooden animal meeples right here with these upgrades. Or, oh no, sorry, you have to pay extra for those, but I would be tempted to do that because they just look kind of cool. It's one of those that I would actually consider. Now, could I get all of the animals without getting the other two? That's a whole nother question I don't have an answer to yet. But Habitats looks like the best game of the three to me personally. Again, Basketboss, auction game, ups and downs of your player's career, and the trick-taking game where you know what suits your opponents are holding. So, how do you feel about that? Are you a trick taker? Are you not a trick taker? Here you go. Habitats, the expansions are included. I mean, you're tile laying and you're driving your Jeep around and you're choosing the animals for your tiles, but you also have destinations, campgrounds, and watchtowers to make sure everything runs smoothly. It just looks like a very nice game. I'm very intrigued by this. Ooh, you get the meeple upgrades? If you do, I'm pretty much in for $39 at this point, regardless. But I think that's going to be a great game. Unless, like I said, unless they send me a copy, that's probably one of the things we have talked about this week so far in this video. This is probably one of the highest there. Dual strategy, tableau, building, market excitement. I like it. The rulebook is there. And again, say what you will, but Board Game Tables has been putting out really, really solid games. I don't look at any of these and go, wow, none of this doesn't look that good. Again, they have everything on the page that you need to know. They have the rule books out. There's 1 or 2 videos on all of these, so you can get the full sense. Even with like Habitats, there's enough information on the Board Game Geek page when I went over there and looked at it today from 2015, so you can get a good sense of things as well. So they're putting out just a quality product. I can't really, ding them too much because you're getting all of the, I mean, look, how to play. It runs you through it. Then you've got a video. Then you've got, Jeremy Howard and Tom Vassell getting a quote there. And it's giving you everything you need with the rulebook. And so this is one of the best pages I've seen already this week in terms of everything. Trick-taking game. Again, here's the upgrades. Okay, ooh, $30 though for that extra. So that'd be $69. I might, as cool as those things look, I would maybe just venture for the game because that's basically the game price as much as those really, 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 really cool animal meeples would. Maybe that's a backer kit or, pledge manager sort of upgrade, right? Like pay the $39 during the campaign and then, it's more acceptable. Like I can pay another $30 in the pledge manager. I'm looking at you. Yeah, I'm seriously looking at that. Okay, so there you go. Again, whether or not these games are for you, I think that Board Game Tables has put out great products, and I think this is another example of that, and that's why it's already at $60,000 in less than 24 hours. There you go. We're going to talk about this. It doesn't really count. It's $788,000. It's a TCG. Some big names. The art is absolutely beautiful. It looks just absolutely fantastic, but again, you just remind yourself that it's a TCG, and it's a TCG. It's a pay-to-win. It's buy a booster box and hope that you get all 400 of the distinct cards there, and you hope that you can keep up with the meta, and you hope that, or maybe not, that this game goes out of print and it comes all of the hype, or the Flesh and Blood first edition, where you can sell it on the secondary market for 3 or 4 times the price of the first place, and that's about it. But the biggest question on these games is, there's so many other LCGs and TCGs out there that have established bases. I see no reason, unless you're just buying it for FOMO on crowdfunding, to do it. Because, look at this price right here. One booster case is $750. One booster box, and that's 6 booster boxes down here for the booster base. One of them is $130. That's not cheap. That's not, like game wise. What if you don't get all the stuff you want? What if you don't get the right ones? I don't see any rarities shown here yet. They talk about the early birds here. Again, like display $120 for an early bird. If you just want a pre-con decks, it's going to cost you $50, which I guess is about right. But if you scroll down the rest of this page, they have some stretch goals here, which is fine. They've unlocked a couple of these already. Again, foils, don't care about those. And why Kickstarter? Okay. Oh, how does it play? Oh, we don't really know. Are there any videos? No. Is there a rule book? No. We're going to tell you sort of a glimpse of how to play up here. Retro card game, top-down design. 5x4 grid, represents the realm, playing cards in their... No idea. It's a FOMO grab. TCGs on crowdfunding. There you go. Speaking of TCGs on crowdfunding, we're going to talk about the academic. This is the one I mentioned earlier. This has a huge following. I guess this guy, the professor, has like over like 500,000 of subscribers on his YouTube account, which he does Magic the Gathering discussion of all sorts. And so they must like him because $900,000 and 17,000 backers. He designed his own basically deck holder with GameGenic. So take that for what you will. There he is. Again, I mentioned the early birds at the beginning. First 2,000 backers. Early bird, $45. $45 can get you this, which is, I don't even know what the difference is. But again, $45 for a deck holder. And Magic the Gathering people are probably, that's probably cheap to them. I have no idea though. There you go. You can check it all out though. Revolutionary drawers, the acrylic divider compartment, size morph divider. I don't know. Anyway, check it out if you're really interested. If you want a cool little fancy thing for your Magic the Gathering tournaments. I don't know. It's not my thing, but I wanted to talk about it because that's a lot of money. And he seriously has some backing. I didn't know who he was before I went to check out the channel. That's the only reason I know this much anyway in the first place. There you go. Speaking of cool things that I haven't seen much of before, I'm backing this right now because this looks interesting to me. UND1C1, the best soccer game ever. And basically you have these little acrylic guys, and it's a grid-based system where you're going to be moving your guys around with the ability to block off certain areas, and you have cards that you're going to be utilizing here that are going to give you different advantages or disadvantages to the other team, depending on what you play as you go along, and there's going to be different clubs. The big question, just like Pathways, which is the other like big indie dark horse, I think, this week, is the price point. The price point for something like this as an early bird is still $54, and that's without like a bunch of extra teams. And because I don't think you're getting a ton of teams with the base game here. Because if you look at here, okay, this is the Derby pack, which gets you 2 copies. The early bird for 3 of them, and then the extra early bird was over $10 difference, was over 20% difference. And that's, again, if someone didn't know that was going to be launching today at all, that's, you know, not very many in the first place. So again, 2 players, 45 to 60 minutes, and that's probably one of the most appealing things is if you can play this in 45 to 60 minutes as a lighter but not super light strategy football game, and now they went with soccer, so I won't hold them against them. Again, you're the coach, and you get to see a little bit of everything. If this is the actual design of the box too, that is freaking fantastic because again, slim size works great. Neoprene mat is amazing, and that's probably really what the price point is. If you can get a good neoprene mat with all of these chips in there, I'm impressed by this. You can see that each of these players has special abilities. That's what these symbols and colors are at the bottom of the chips. And you can get different teams that are going to have asymmetric powers between them. The cards that you're going to be utilizing as well to give your team different advantages or bonuses. And then they run through a little bit of how you're going to play it down here in terms of the core rules. Again, this is one that I don't think you're going to see on the secondary market. I don't think it's going to get wide distribution. So if you're interested, this is not one where you go, oh, well, I'm buying this one to resell it. Well, you might buy it to resell it because you're the only one on the resale market, but that's maybe about it. And so if you pass on it, you just might not be able to get it. Sort of like some other games that have come up, especially like Gavin Birnbaum's wooden-based games where he only makes a certain limited quantity. And if you get one, great. If you don't, well, you know, you better cross your fingers and hope that you can catch one in the secondary market when it comes out and, you know, goes in 2 minutes. So they run you through what you're going to be doing. You're going to perform 3 actions, place 2 padlocks that are going to block those hexes that I mentioned, and play up to 3 cards. And then your opponent gets to go. And you can do things like movement, pass, shot, dribbling, tackle, and the outcome is decided by means of a dice roll. I guess that's the big question is, do you like, you know, using dice in this sense? Now, they call it chessboard. I'm going to watch a little bit of this video so I can get a little bit of the video rules, but I'm impressed by what I see. Whether or not it's right for me is going to be an interesting test as the campaign gets closer to the end, but my kids have been super into soccer and super into football. We just got the Peacock Premier League, so we just started watching Premier League this last weekend. And every single day when I come home, almost my middle child, but now also my older child has been asking me to play soccer in our basement. We have, you know, a big enough basement that we can kick the ball back and forth and not completely kill each other. And we use a super soft ball, so, you know, we can, anyway. But that's what this looks like, and this looks really appealing. And so I guess the question that I did not see is you have 2 teams, white and black here, but you can get more teams that I did not see the full, and they have different setups as I go. The system on Team White here is a 4-3-3, and the system on Black is a 3-5-2. So again, the asymmetry there, depending on which one you want. White abilities, colored abilities give them different stats, so you can kind of manage it that way. I did not see how many other teams there were. I mean, they talk about adding other teams. They talk about adapting your match style based on the cards that you have in terms of permanent abilities or instant abilities. Oh, come on, go away, Kickstarter, highlighting. Expand your deck, again, changing the strategy cards, and then extra teams. There is a Dice Tower preview, so if you want to check that out as well, but again, I don't really know how much to make of a preview anymore. Okay, that's the pricing. Add-ons, here we go. 2 extra card decks. Here we go. 2 additional club teams. Oh, that's not bad. 8 additional club teams. All 12 club teams. Okay, again, like, what's the difference between the club teams? You have all of these teams, but show me more of the difference. Because I'm really interested in this, especially with the asymmetry that's there. I was not expecting this game to be that much liked. I did not expect to like it even more so when I'm doing this run through with you guys. But if you're interested, I really think you should give this a check out. There you go. Again, another one that I was not expecting. I don't know the cult following of this, but clearly it has more of a following than I ever expected. Because I commented on it last week in the upcoming video, and several of you guys were like, "Oh yeah, I'm waiting for this," and "Oh yeah, this is great," and then it's already got $50,000. ONUS, Traianus, the Roman Empire, where you've got sort of this war game esque feel, but it's on more of a battlefield where you're using cards, and you have cards that are essentially representing many units rather than just one-on-one units. And because apparently there are many other games in this line of ONUS, the name, the company of the name, and the company of the historical simulation that this game is, and you have these different armies that are going to be going against each other set in this time period. I think something like 10 along or so, 8 armies taking the fight. Again, I don't know the value or the resale of this, or what this is looking like on the secondary market, but again, like, how do you do that? I don't know. Other people are going to probably, say whether or not this is a good deal. I have no idea when it comes to a war game like this. Is $54 a good deal? Is the all-in a good deal with 2 playmats, coasters, and custom dice? Well, I mean, you don't really need playmats, coasters, or custom dice, so go with the lower pledge level if you're going to get one, because it's got the stretch goals here as well. But again, what are you doing? It's a war game. You're using cards. You're using, war game-esque mechanics, and so it's just whether or not you like that with more of a card-based system. And apparently people know this system enough, and it's not a difficult system, but it is relatively well established, so you're not looking at this game and going, is this completely new? And I think that's why it's getting, so much funding right now already. Activate, move, ranged, skirmish, melee, fight, end of turn. Again, not very complex, but offering you a lot of options from a war game side. There's also a solo mode. It runs through what the cards look like in terms of, okay, these are all the units, and it tells you how many health there are total, their total attack, everything you need to know. Again, just looks like a solid product. They run through the armies here as well. This is a really long page, by the way. I'm not sure what is going on with this page. Let's scroll down here. Okay. Pledge levels, stretch goals. These are all stretch goals. Wow. Okay, so you're getting a bunch of stretch goals there. That's a ton. 49 euros for the game, 25 euros for extras. Again, an extra for a game mat, an extra game mat, extra game mat. How much do those game mats change the actual gameplay? I would doubt it. So, anyway. The all-in, though. Okay, so the all-in is actually probably a better price than if you're interested in all that stuff. But if you're not, then you just do your own thing. But with a war game like this, I don't have anything like that, so I would probably have to get the playmats. Again, this has no interest to me, but I would say probably if you're going, you go all in as well because of the value. So I guess I do know by the end of the... So I guess I did figure it out by the end of looking at this. There you go, though. Check it out. Boss Dog. Things with animals are clearly funding. I don't have a clue what this is. I saw it launch today. Didn't know about it whatsoever before the launch, but it's got animals, so people are clicking on it and buying it, apparently. Boss Dog, the card game, with canine, criminals, chaos, and cannoli. They just had to throw in those last 2 C's just to make it, Anyway, early bird. Again, early bird, early bird, early bird. All pledges are going to get a bonus base game. That's interesting. Maybe that's why it's funded, too. Again, I don't know what this game is. I mean, you can see play a card, draw a card, essentially. Deal 4 cards. Each player gets a card from the deck. Then you play 1 card, or discard a card, or play an action like stealing someone else's card. Get points. Watch out, though. You can do some hit that. And you can sabotage. So, I mean, it's a card game. Draw 1, play 1. With a lot of other exclusives. Whoa. Kickstarter exclusive pack, expansion pack. Customize your own dog as a boss card at the $49 level. That's pretty impressive. And then exclusive cards there as well. So, interesting concept. Is it anything different? If it didn't have the dog art all over it, would people be as interested? I don't know. But if you're interested for a lighter filler game with some cool looking dogs, check it out. Next up, another one I forgot to mention last week. It sort of fell in between the cracks because it got delayed initially. It was supposed to be towards the beginning of the month and it got pushed back. Cthulhu Island, where you are essentially creating your own attraction theme park. That's not what I normally think of if someone was to tell me I'm going to Cthulhu Island, but that's what you're doing here of Cthulhu-based system. You're either basically trying to do the unfair or the funfair version of it, essentially with a Cthulhu theme. Now, obviously, it's slightly different. Obviously, you have miniatures, and it's about 2/3 of the way funded, so let's see what it's actually got. Now, I heard someone commenting that there wasn't much on the page earlier today in terms of what it was doing, so we'll see what we think as well as we go. Again, showing me all this stuff, which is fine, but I'm going to skip over that. Like, what am I doing in this game? Okay, great, an expansion. More stuff. Another expansion. Okay, 2 expansions before we've... Okay, 3 expansions before we've seen anything. 4 expansions before we've seen anything. Okay, that's interesting. And now we're getting to the pledge levels. Core box alone is $97. That's expensive. You're getting the solo mode plus all 4 expansions for $300. Holy cow, Batman. These expansions are $50-something each and $30-something each. That's insane. How are you, what are you doing in this game? I mean, this makes me think more Cthulhu Wars than unfair right now. Rounds you're going to be trying to get the most fear, establishing dominance in locations. Again, what are you doing, though? You're setting up, you're mixing and matching in terms of the power board, the director board, and the eldritch board that you have a combination of. Abilities, alternate powers and actions, and then destructive abilities. Drawing tiles as part of your turn, gain resources on what's played, and using whatever is on the tile in the first place. Acquire as a power action to get influence on your own portals. So we're doing a little bit of everything then here with these actions. Resource cards, portal actions. Now they say here video and rulebook, 22nd. Again, I guess for a campaign that was already delayed once, is this coming internally? Is this coming externally? If this is coming internally, why don't you already have it done before the campaign? Why don't you delay it again and get this done and not have it delayed a week? And if it's coming externally, well, you had plenty of time to get people who would do this sort of thing for even free, like me, in that sense. So, again, I don't really get the good sense of the mechanics. I don't really need to know anything about the backgrounds of the miniatures. That doesn't appeal to me. I need to know why I'm going to pay $300 for something like this when it's sort of area control, sort of tile grab, asymmetric powers game. Because this is not a cheap price. And if you're going to make people pay or have people pay this much money, I need to know why. Because I'm also not seeing anything here that says, okay, what is making this unique? I don't see a rule book. So again, I need more info. I'm surprised it's got $20,000, but we'll see where it goes until that stuff comes up. And is that going to be enough to get it funded before then? Is it going to stall out between now and then? We'll kind of see where it goes, but that's Cthulhu Island. Whimsical Creatures, frantic gameplay and root vegetables. Grabbing creatures that are totally different and you're counting your vegetables, essentially. Well, it means 300% funded, right? It's got $1,600. $1,600 more than I ever made on Kickstarter. $1 or £1 print and play and a £5 physical copy. Speed matching game. Everybody gets their own stack. Grab 5 cards. What do you do with them? Okay. I mean, that's essentially it, right? Hey, I'll talk about it because it's indie. Wouldn't get made otherwise. If you want to check it out, go ahead. There you go. It actually has a Board Game Geek entry too. So, there you go. Just a couple more here at the end. And last but not certainly least, these two are definitely going to be, making a little bit of a wave as well. Ryozen from Tabula Games. $60,000, less than first 24 hours, almost 1,000 backers. I have 2 videos that I put out earlier this week for this game. It's a lighter worker placement style game. It's probably going to appeal to you if you're looking for something like the next step up, the next rung up from something like Lords of Waterdeep or Champions of Midgard. And it's got a day-night mechanic with an area control mechanism where during the daytime phase, the placing worker phase, you're getting the bonus that's in the center ring, and then the area control phase of how many workers are in each area. If you have any presence in that sector, you get the nighttime reward, but if you have the most presence there, you're going to get a special extra reward. The Phoenix Palace in the middle gets you victory points by just putting guys there, or guys that get workers that get placed there, or workers that get sent there via other workers. And you have a variety of workers that you're going to be able to draft or buy to get victory points in the first place. So it's got a lot of stuff going on. It's got a solo mode. It's got a competitive mode. It's got a double-sided board, depending on the player count, a 2-player side as well as a 3- and 4-player side. So it is definitely not as loose in the 2-player mode because you have more limited spaces. It'll be interesting to see what else gets unlocked. It's a bit deluxe here in terms of the resources and what everything is in there. And the price isn't bad if you want the ordinary stretch goals. 39 euros is pretty good. If you want the deluxe, obviously 69, but I think you'd be fine either way. I think if you don't want to deluxify it and you get all these stretch goals, depending on what the stretch goals end up being up here, that's going to be really the issue. And again, we'll see. What else is on there? Again, just goes through everything that you need to see there. The 6 different areas plus the Phoenix Palace, the alternative game mode, a little bit of a ring in the background from my iPad. And again, it runs through it all. There's enough previews You can get a general sense of things. I did 2 different videos. One is, we'll get to mine eventually here maybe. Blah, blah, blah. There we go. How to play in a playthrough. If you want to actually just know how to play it, I give about a 8-minute summary of how to play the rules. And then I actually did a playthrough. So it's about a 57-minute video or something like that right there. Or vice versa, you know, review, final thoughts, if you will. But yeah, there you go. That is Ryozen. It's, you know, it's a good game. People are going to like this game. It's going to go under a lot of radars right now because it's going up against a lot of fierce competition. But it was a very, very solid game. I'll leave it at that. If you have any questions, though, let me know in the comment section. I'm happy to answer them. Here or the other videos. Now, next up, we have Micro Dojo, the expansion, Loyalty, and Deceit. This was that little, basically $10 game, I believe, before that came out in Kickstarter last year. And, I mean, it's a pocket worker placement, essentially. Sorry, £5, not that much. And it raised 16,000 pounds. So, we go back over here. What do we got going on here? We have, you know, almost half that right now in less than 24 hours. So, it's definitely getting some hype, definitely getting some love from that aspect. What are you getting with the game, though? New features, new resources, extended 9-point game, and modular setup. And if you want deluxeifications, they're doing that too. But if you just want the ultra compact version, boom, there you go. Deluxe complete editions. A how to play video. It's gonna be 3 minutes long, so that's great. If you want to learn how to play. $7, $20 for the deluxe upgrade, which is just the expansion stuff, and everything with the base game included, it's $27, so you can't go wrong if you're interested in this at all from a compact worker placement. So, great price. Again, not the worker placement person, but you can go and read the rules. You can watch the video in 3 minutes, less than I'm going to probably speak about this in this section of the video. So, if you're really interested, go give this one some love. So, there you go. Now, one special one here at the end for all of you that actually make it this far, all 7 of you that are here. Real working invisibility shield on crowdfunding right now. Just launched today. It's got almost $50,000 raised. The pledge levels are really interesting. If you want a small, tiny sized one, you can get it for $54 or $64, whatever that is. But if you want a full sized one, it's going to cost you $400. If you want 2 of them, though, you can get it for $650. But look, I mean, it's kind of cool looking, right? It basically, I'm not going to try and explain it. I don't have the science background in the wording to explain it right now, but the pictures look cool. It's obviously not going to block anything. It says specifically on the page, don't use it as riot gear or in like a riot. But, you know, 2.3 inches, less than 9 pounds, fully recyclable material, and freestanding. Large enough to hide multiple people. They go through the little bit of the science down here, the technology of how the light is bouncing around and reflected. And then, anyway, I'm not going to go into it. But if you have extra cash, disposable income sitting around, I thought I'd throw in the working invisibility shield for all of you nerds out there like me. There you go. That's it. That's the roundup for this week. Right? That was an interesting way to end it, right? Invisibility shield. Nobody ever expects the invisibility shield, EggKnight. Sorry, EggKnight, we ran out of time. I can't give you any time to talk today. But, you know, if you're interested, again, tomorrow's video is going to have all the interesting stuff from next week. And next week is going to be chock full of stuff just like this past week was. So, again, just watch out. There are 3 games on this pass list that I am either backing currently at the time of me filming this, or really giving a heavy thought to. And that's more probably than any point so far in 2022. Take that for what you will. Now, obviously not for everybody, but again, I like the sheer variety and the sheer expanse that's coming with this. But it's not going to stop, so still got to be pretty picky. That's all I got. And no end ramble today. Nothing. I got nothing. I got videos coming out soon of Earth and the Bad Karmas potentially, as well as Tidal Blades and 1 or 2 others maybe before the end of the month. Medieval Carnival, a couple others that are going to just come out whenever I can get to editing them on the film floor. Because, you know, I'm using literal film to make these now. I'm cutting it and splicing it and taping it. Anyway, stay classy. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.